Hello and welcome to the Learning Zone. Today I'm going to be showing you how to take an image that looks like this and transforming it into an image that looks like this. Basically adding an outline around an image to make the image pop a little bit more. This is nice for something like a YouTube thumbnail where you really want the image to pop and stand out compared to the others. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have the layer selected over here in the bottom right. So it is selected. We have our picture open. What you're going to want to do is go over to the left side and go to the quick selection tool. You can probably use object selection, but I like quick selection for doing this. And what you're going to want to do is basically click anywhere, and you can click and drag where you want your picture to be outlined. So I want Vlad Guerrero Jr. here to be outlined, so I'm just going to click and hold and draw all over him just like this. And make sure you get everything that you want to be drawn on. So we're going to intentionally miss this A. I'll show you why. I'll come back to it in a second here. But you're going to want to draw basically anything you want. It's missing his teeth, so make sure you click on that. Anywhere that has this little moving outline is where you haven't selected inside the picture. So we haven't selected the A. I'm going to intentionally not select it so I can show you how to fix that later on. It's missing the hand here, so you can click on here. Now I'm scrolling with Alt, holding down Alt and then zooming in and out in the scroll wheel. And then make sure everything's selected so you can see here it's not selected parts of this pants here. So you can fine tune with a slightly smaller size here. So sometimes I'll do that by just going down to a slightly smaller size to really fine tune some stuff. I'm not going to make this perfect because that would take an extra couple minutes, but it's looking pretty good here. Let's work on the hair a little bit just for a second here. Let's get some of these bits. Doesn't need to be perfect, but you'll notice one of the things that it was selected right here on his arm. I don't want this selected. The computer couldn't tell the difference between the arm and the background here. So what you want to do is actually hold down Alt and then click and drag where you don't want it to be. So then it'll undo all of these. But as you can see, it went a little too far this time. So what you then do is unclick Alt and then kind of draw it back in. Like that. If it's something that's really hard to tell, you may have to be really precise with it and just kind of assume that's where the jersey is at. Even though you can't really see, it just makes logical sense for it to kind of be a straight line like that. And that looks pretty good. I think we are about good. So once we have everything we want selected, then you can do Control and hit J. And what that does is creates a new layer with everything you have selected. So if you go down here and then unsee the background, you'll see everything that we selected. Now you'll notice we missed the A in Blue Jays. So what you can do is just hit Control Z and then re-add that in. So now just draw it in because you're back on the quick selection. And then we're looking good. Hit Control J again. Should be good to go. So once we have this layer, what you can do is right click on this layer, go to blending options, and then hit stroke. So now when you do that, it'll create a outline around the player. So you'll notice that it picked up on this little dot when I was messing with the arm over here. What you can do is actually, you don't need to go back. You can actually just erase it. So we're just going to hit OK for right now so we can see it because you couldn't see it before we had the outline. So now I'm just going to go over to the eraser tool and then just kind of, there we go. And we should be good. Okay, so back to the stroke. So you right click on this, blending options. And from here, you have the stroke. If you click on it, you can create a larger one or a smaller one. You don't want to go too crazy with it, but also you need to make sure that you can see it. I always go a little bit more than I think because a lot of times when you shrink that image down to something like a YouTube thumbnail, you can't really see it as well. So I always go a little bit more than you would think. So you can go with this. Now I also have two strokes, so I've got one for a yellow outline, one for black. Those are kind of two of my most common ones that I use. Of course, you can change the color if you click on it. You can also change the position. So there's inside and center. There's not too many uses for inside, at least from what I've seen. It looks a little weird. It kind of cuts off some of the image. Center isn't so bad. It kind of depends on what the image is. So sometimes when I have something that has kind of a rough outline around it that you can't get exactly, sometimes you can clean that up by going to the center position. But most of the time, if you get a nice image, you want to go on the outside. But also, if you use center, make sure not to do too much because, again, it'll start looking kind of weird. So make sure you only use kind of a thinner stroke. But outside is what we're going to use. We're going to make it a little bit larger, something like this size. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And then what you can do is then re-add in the background by clicking on it. And there you go. You have your outline. Now, re-looking at it, I think it's a little big. So what I'm going to do is go back over to the blending options. You can do this with the background selected. Go over to stroke and then just decrease it a little bit. And I think that looks a little bit better. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any problems, let me know in the comments down below. If you have any questions as well, let me know down there. Make sure to like the video if this helps you out and subscribe for more future tutorials. This is the Learning Zone. Thank you again for watching. Peace.